I told my wife, lock the door, I'll be back directly. She said, you said that yesterday. I said, yesterday was a practice run. Made me a list on the back of a gas receipt. Milk, eggs, bread, beans, something sweet. Then I remember brakes were squealing like a hog, so I added pads and rotors to the catalog. Then the sink started dripping with a courthouse beat. Needed trap, 2 washers, and a pipe elbow knee. I grabbed my keys, chest puffed like a king. Said, one trip, baby, I can handle anything. One trip of Die Tryin, that's the promise that I made. But I'm back at the stove before the coffee gets cold. Got the brick, got the brakes, got the wrench, forgot the tape. Bought a gallon of milk, but the bag done tore. One trip of Die Tryin, then I'm making one trip more. First out, grocery out, buggy wheel, crooked bought 12 cans of chili, cause the sales sign look good. Got the eggs, got the cheese, got the barbecue sauce. Forgot the dang taters that started this whole loss. I'm halfway home when my wife calls my phone. Did you get the parts? I said, they're right here, hold on. I opened up the trunk with a confident grin. Found 3 bags of groceries and a fishing rod in. One trip of Die Tryin, that's the promise that I made. But I'm back at the store before the coffee gets cold. Got the bread, forgot the brakes, got the wrench, forgot the tape. Bought a gallon of milk, but the bag done tore. One trip of Die Tryin, then I'm making one trip more. Back to the parts store, strutting like a pro. Said, give me everything a brakeman ought to know. They asked what year, I said it's red and dependable. They asked what model, I said the one with the windshield. They sold me pads, rotors, grease, and a tool. I nodded like a mechanic who had graduated cool. Pulled in the driveway, ready to commence. Then popped that trunk, no brake parts in sight. The sink's still dripping, the car's still squealing. My wife's in the doorway with a look I'm feeling. She said, did you get the pipe? I said, define pipe. She said, the one under the sink. I said, I got a flashlight. Third trip's plummet, now I'm locked in the zone. Bought a P-trap so big it could shelter a home. Got Teflon tape, couplers, clamps, and a snake. But the clerk said, buddy, that's a bathroom drain mistake. I said, it's under a sink, how complicated can it be? He said, depends which sink. I said, the wet one, obviously. Got home, laid the parts out across the floor, and found the leak was coming from the refrigerator door. One trip of Die Tryin, that's the promise that I made. But I'm back at the store before the coffee gets cold. Got the bread, got the brakes, got the wrench, forgot the tape. Bought a gallon of milk, but the bag done tore. One trip of Die Tryin, then I'm making one trip more. Now my wife keeps a suitcase by the front door. Says if you're going shopping, don't come back no more. I said, tomorrow I'm prepared, I got a foolproof plan. She said, what's the plan? I said, take the van. One trip, Die Tryin, that's my family creed. I'll get it all next time. Just remind me what I need.